and every secret corner of your being unfolds into seamless sky. And at higher altitudes, you can finally see the plains rolling into vast forest, and your eyes are not separate from the seeing. The fabric of you has unraveled and been rewoven into a majestic, endless, measureless tapestry. The edges have fallen away, yet every leaf is infused with its own brightness, perfect in its own right, not a single dust mote out of place in this seamless flow. You turn off the air conditioning and roll down the windows and bathe in sparkling mountain air. Your head is clear, your eyes are cleansed of a lifetime of seeking the summit, and you cry at the beauty of perfection. A tiny petal falling, the most scrumptious yellowy orange. And the day begins. Light fills the meadow, streams through the laden grasses and many-colored blossoms backlit by these first rays, hanging, waving like lanterns in the soft breeze. Small birds rise and dance in the shimmering. A herd of does slowly cross, grazing, a hum of insects. Chrysanthemum clouds bloom over the ridge. They burst into 1,000 petals and join again and block out the sun. Life simply happens, and the brain uses shared learned words to write a story about it, and the stories are beautiful. They include time and meaning, sumptuous ideas of a golden or terror-filled future, and pictures of a past. Constantly viewing these images, the story of you seems to exist in the middle. Yet it can be seen that the jester hat is empty. It was merely the shiny musical bells that were hypnotizing. It can happen that the stories are no longer believed, and there is living in the space before the stories are written and embracing the stories at the same time. This ripeness of life is always on, lush, rich beyond measure, far more than one could ever imagine or dream about. The ordinary becomes the extraordinary and leaves you breathless. And there is overwhelming wonder, but there is never a wondering why, like you drink water and it is wet. The simplicity of seeing this as it is, instead of all these learned ideas of what it's supposed to be, is utterly stunning. When the cage of words drops away, the prison that was you becomes transparent. How marvelous to be free of all that hope, that the next step, the next hour, the next day will be better, and fear that it will be worse. And can you read all these words without trying to find their meaning? As no words or thoughts can ever touch what's really going on. Any recipe for living is false. Any prescription for awakening is untrue. Already there is clear seeing. Only words and ideas have bamboozled your brain into believing that there's a separate you, living your life. And trying to mine the treasure is missed, lost in a hole of darkness, crying, "And my words are your words, and you know this. My heart is your heart. No heart escapes the inevitable loveliness, the inevitable loneliness, insatiable tears for no one. And all your ideas and thoughts about what life is about or supposed to be like is like opening an umbrella underwater. They merely obscure the light, the iridescent wonder on the surface. They don't keep you from getting wet. And all I can see is wings soaring, and I turn to touch the shimmering and find my own heart smiling. And long grasses waving on the meadow, touched by the morning sun, infinite shades of greeny yellow oranges, dancing effortlessly for no one. No one knows what life is. We sing our love songs and share the awe and spin softly into each other's dream. Drunk on her ideas of love, she could no longer swallow. Lighting candles to the future, she was left in darkness, merely marking out her days until the great union she had heard about. Till one day she saw through her reflection. She poured her silhouette into a glass and drank deeply, and realized that all she had longed for were empty ideas, castles in the sky, caught in a fortress she had built from dreams. And all she ever wanted was right here all along, and it was nothing at all. And purpley clouds billow at night, erasing the doldrums where you thought you lived. It's a life without boredom, this unpegged life, and in the mountains, dancing slowly, a night bird sings. Away from the neon signs, chasing an idea of vastness, darkness and misery snapping at your heels. It's an endless race to freedom with no end in sight, and without warning, you fall into the sky, and you hear your name called, and you fall into overwhelming silence. There is a sublimeness in this all-oneness, a deafening all-rightness. There is a bittersweet beauty that no one can be touched, that nothing can be touched, ever. And you reach out your hand and find yourself reaching out. It's like light pouring itself softly from cup to cup. Then the cups disappear. Then the softly disappears. Then the pouring disappears. And she holds up a treasure and says, "Oh my, how beautiful." And I am simply a swoon of utter beauty. I am the sun flooding the meadow and delicate petals, lanterned, flowing, waving, drifting, seas of grasses, and caressing the earth, the sky, the sound of winds in the pines from near and far, sweeping down the mountain. Oh my, this edgeless, vast, untraceable glowing, lit from within, from without. Without lines, there is no one to be lost or found, and I am their warmth and love and wonder, as well as mine, our breath, our footfalls, our shadows on the rippling, the tender wetness of our eyes. Skinless, splendid, measureless, unspeakable, infinite, flowing space, filling, overflowing emptiness without time or non-time, this utter enormity of indescribable liquidity, without end or source, traceless light soaring, sweeping through itself, filling me, emptying me. I am the wind and life as they fly through me, as me. Without others, I simply cannot find a trace of a song to pretend to tether the wind. This is perhaps why we sing, those of us who have lost their imaginary piece of sky. Awe moves my thumb as songs flow through me and write my imaginary lines. Always this silence singing, utter and complete. The vastness expresses itself, sings itself, just like this.